This is the 365 Longhorns podcast presented to you by 365 Sports. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson. And this is your daily fix. We have a prediction episode on the docket for everybody. Today, we are going to go ahead and look at the college football playoff bracket. We are going to make our predictions, right, wrong, whatever. We're not going to revisit. We've already done that. We revisited our prediction picks at the beginning of the season, and let's just say that they weren't great. By the way, before we get into this, Jake, I just have one thing, and I'm not a huge fan of this guy, but he has gotten a lot of flack for his preseason playoff picks. Um, Brandon Walker on Barstool Sports. I don't know if people watch Barstool Sports, but has gotten completely ridiculed, and rightfully so, for his playoff predictions. However, they were doing a snake draft with Tom Fornelli, and they were picking these teams. So the teams that he probably wanted to pick, some of them were already taken by Tom Fornelli. He did have like less than 20% of the right picks. Again, horrible picks. But I don't know, with this year's lineup, Jake, I don't know how many people picked a pretty accurate bracket going into the season.
No,
Our
we
picks
have
were horrible.
our picks were horrible. I don't think many people did that great this year, outside of having like Georgia, Alabama.
Sure.
I didn't have Notre Dame in.
I had Notre Dame, and that ended up being incorrect on my part.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with not having Notre Dame in, but yeah, overall, not great. I mean, I'm looking at it now. I had
Yeah.
Oregon as the 5. That's dead on. I had Tech in. I had Alabama, Iowa State. Oh, that's rough. I had let's see. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 12 right. Wow, you had 1, 2, 3, 5 right. We both had 5 right.
We both had 5 right. And the 5 that I got right, Alabama, Oregon, Texas Tech, Ohio State, and Georgia.
Yeah, the Georgia, Alabama, Texas Tech were kind of the easy ones. You figured Tech was going to run away with the Big 12 because no one else in that conference was that great. We both had more than one Big 12 team making it, which turned out to be a very bad bet.
Yeah.
So yeah, not great by us, but that's okay. Now we can just completely predict this 12-team bracket wrong today.
Now that we actually know exactly what the bracket is, we can actually try to predict this one and still be incredibly wrong. So, with all that being said, all right, Jake, let's start with James Madison, 12 seed taking on Oregon on December 20th. I'm just looking at the bracket and going down the line. Oregon 21.5-point favorites over James Madison. This one's pretty easy for me. I think Oregon comes in and covers this game, and they don't look back.
If the line's still at 21.5, I actually don't hate James Madison covering, to be completely honest. I don't think they win this football game by any means. I do think Oregon will win this game. I'm just worrying about wins and losses. I'm not worrying about covers in these playoffs. So I'm just gonna say I'll say Oregon wins this game for sure.
Yeah, I think the over-under at 50.5 is also crazy. I don't think that it's going to take Oregon to score like 42 points, which I'm not saying they can't. They definitely can, and JMU scoring like 7 for that to happen. But anyway, yeah, I think Oregon wins this one. If we're going strictly wins and losses with this prediction, Oregon on to the next round. They'll play Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl. All right, Alabama, number 9 seed at Oklahoma. Can Alabama get rid of this Oklahoma stench that they seem to not be able to get by? Alabama 1.5-point favorites on the road against Oklahoma. That's on December 20th.
Yeah, I think Alabama wins this game. I I think Alabama. I think this is just a game between two teams who Alabama has not looked good as of late. Oklahoma, they had a good season, but they've had one side of the ball that has just looked horrible. Really the whole season for the most part. I'll say Alabama gets over that hump finally and beats Oklahoma. They really should have beat them in that first game. I mean, they doubled them up in yardage. It's just a couple silly turnovers that lost them this game. Give me Alabama to win this.
40.5 is the over-under, Jake, and that is a stinky, ugly, nasty number that I wouldn't be surprised if the under hit. But I just don't think Oklahoma's going to beat them 3 games in a row. I just that's a tough ask. I'm going to say Bama wins this one. I think it's ugly. I think it's not going to be a funny. I think this playoff is going to suck, to be 100% honest with you. I'll preface that right now. But they will go on. I've got Alabama. You and I both have Alabama moving on to the quarterfinals to play in the Rose Bowl against Indiana. What a Rose Bowl. Alabama, Indiana. All right. Number 11, Tulane, 17.5-point dogs at Ole Miss. Ole Miss, obviously, interim head coach, December 20th. And I'll go ahead and I will say I think Ole Miss wins this game fairly comfortably. The over-under set at 56.5. I actually like the under in that game. I don't think Tulane is going to score much. I think they're capable enough to stop Ole Miss a time or two. I don't think Ole Miss is going to necessarily be as sharp as they need to be, but I do think they come out and they win this game. 17.5-point spread, I'm not 100% sure on. I would think Ole Miss can cover that. They took care of Tulane pretty easily in the regular season. I don't see that being much of an issue this time around either.
Yeah, we've seen this matchup play out once this year. Could Tulane be better than that? Could Ole Miss? I mean, there is a little unknown here with Ole Miss. You know, not having Lane Kiffin. Obviously, they were able to bring back at least one of the offensive staff to call plays and things of that nature. I think that will help out. I just think Ole Miss is just I mean, they're just bigger and stronger than Tulane, and that shows up in these games. It's home as well at Ole Miss. I have a hard time seeing Tulane knocking them off, so give me Ole Miss to win this.
All right, Jake, and the only game that might end up being pretty decent in this first round, Miami taking on Texas A&M on the road. Texas A&M is 3.5-point favorites at home over Miami. Miami's final stretch of the season wasn't nearly as impressive as it was when they started the season off. A&M obviously coming off of a loss to Texas, the only really top team in the SEC that they lost to. And so, yeah, you take a look at what Miami did at the end of the season. Now, their defense did start playing much better than what they were at the middle of the year when they lost to Louisville, lost to SMU. They held Syracuse 38-10. NC State 41-7, Virginia Tech 34-17, and then they beat Pitt on the road 38-7 as the season finale. So, you know, they defense kind of started finding their swag again, but not against, you know, great opponents. Jake, what's your take on this game?
The ACC stinks. I actually think A&M probably wins this game. If they lose this game, that will be you got a good draw. You got an ACC team. You get them at home at your vaunted 12th man. If you lose this game, just fold the program. You'll have lost to really outside of Notre Dame, the two only good teams you played against all year. So I do think Notre Dame wins this game, unfortunately. I just don't think Miami's good. I am glad that they didn't give them a night game. I think that's great and just funny to watch them be upset about it. I just do not trust Carson Beck. I don't trust the Miami offense. I don't think they played good football down the stretch, even though they started winning their games by more at the end. Beating the snot out of Pitt doesn't do anything for me. It didn't do anything for me when Notre Dame did it. It doesn't do anything for me when Miami did it.
I completely agree. I did talk to an A&M fan over this last weekend, and he was honest with me. And I'd never spoken to this A&M fan before. It was the first time I met him. But he was honest, and he said, I'd trade the playoffs to beat Texas. He said, I'd rather not be in the playoffs and beat Texas than to lose to Texas and be in the playoffs. And I said, I get it. That's how Ohio State fans felt last year, and they ended up winning a national championship. I don't think y'all win a national championship, but college football for anybody who says like rivalries don't matter anymore because you got playoffs and you have so much more, that's not necessarily true to a lot of people.
Well, and I think it's because a lot of A&M fans who do think what that gentleman you spoke with said, they say that because I think they feel like they don't have a chance to win a national title. And
Yeah.
so if you're not going to end up winning at all, or even worse, you lose in the first round. I mean, if they lose to Miami, that makes it to where they practically weren't in.
Yeah.
So, or it won't feel like it, at least when you lose at home. So yeah, I already picked OU to lose. I don't think I'm allowed complete happiness. So I'll say A&M wins this one.
Yeah, Jake, I think you're right, but I'm not going to pick A&M to win. I've got Miami to win this game. They'll take on a old, what was it, 2001 rematch, national championship rematch, Miami and Ohio State at the
I
Cotton Bowl.
think 2001, yeah.
2001. One of the greatest national championships ever played. So, but yeah, I've got Miami taking on Ohio State. So, Jake, our quarterfinals look like this: Oregon versus Texas Tech, Alabama versus Indiana, Ole Miss versus Georgia. I have Miami taking on Ohio State. You have Texas A&M taking on Ohio State. All right, quarterfinals. I've got between Oregon and Texas Tech, Jake. I actually think Texas Tech can give them a hell of a game. I actually think that Oregon Texas Tech is going to be a pretty good game. I think it'll be defensive. I don't think it'll be as high scoring as what our brains have been programmed to think. Oregon high scoring, Texas Tech high scoring.
It's going to be a very low scoring game.
And I think these are two defensive teams that aren't going to be able to score very much against one another. I'm going to go Texas Tech, Jake, because I think Oregon's best win all season long was against a 4-win Penn State team, or however many wins Penn State got. That was the best win Oregon had all year long. And I don't think they're battle tested. I don't think they're that good. I'm going to give the edge to Texas Tech. I hate it, but I think I'll give Texas Tech the edge.
Okay, but like Oregon's best win, if we're gonna, is USC. Texas Tech's best win is BYU. Just to throw it out there, BYU's best win was, I guess, Utah in that 24-21 game. Outside of that, they didn't play anyone with a pulse. The Big 12 was terrible. Texas Tech is certainly not battle tested either. Yeah, give me Oregon. I'm just not buying into Tech. I do think they got the most favorable draw they could get, because I think Oregon is not as good as Ole Miss. I think they're probably about even with Oklahoma. Probably worse than Alabama, and I think they're probably at about. I think them against Miami would be a very competitive game. I think them against Texas A&M would be a very competitive game. And I don't think Tech's that far out of that realm. I just don't think Tech has any business being a 4 seed. They got a great draw. I mean, if anything, it's kind of scary because you look at it and you go, is it impossible for Tech to beat an Indiana team if they made it that far, or, potentially in Alabama or whoever? But I think it'll just end right here against Oregon. I think Oregon will win, a low scoring, ugly game. It'll be something like 21-14 or 24-14, 24-17, where there's a defensive score in it and it's just kind of an ugly game.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big believer in Tech. Every time I watched them this year, I wasn't overly impressed by them. They had a good defense, but they also definitely didn't go against an offensive line like what Oregon has.
That's true. All right. We both had Alabama taking on Indiana. Jake, I like Indiana. I'm going Indiana in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Indiana as well. They've proven consistency at this point.
I'm not betting against Signetti anymore. I'm done. I'm done doing it.
No, them beating Ohio State was really impressive. They went on the road and beat Oregon. This is not last year's team. Could they lose that game? Sure. I mean, Alabama's loaded with talent. If Alabama just everything clicks, they could run through the whole playoffs. They really could.
Yeah.
I mean, they have that level of talent. If everything just clicks, they could go on a 4-game run. Everyone thought Ohio State was dead in the water last year, and what they do, they just everything clicked, and they didn't only win, they dominated everyone outside of Texas.
Yep.
So but I will pick Indiana. I'll trust the consistency that we've seen. They did lose one of their key defensive players for the rest of the season. Got hurt during the celebration, unfortunately. Just a freak. Just a freak accident. He was just like jumping up, high-fiving fans, and I don't know if it was a torn ACL or what it was. But yeah, he is out. So that's a really tough break for Indiana and for the young kid that happened to. But I still, like you said, I'm not going to doubt Kurt Signetti.
All right, Jake, I'll let you take the lead on this one. Ole Miss, Georgia.
Georgia by a lot. Not a competitive football game.
I have a feeling this. If people
Georgia's on another level than the last time they played Ole Miss.
If people don't think that last year's playoffs were very competitive, I think this year we're gonna have a lot more blowouts. A lot more. I think it's less competitive this year than it was last year. Georgia in this one. Ole Miss isn't getting any further than Tulane. They're lucky they drew Tulane and not in Alabama or even a Notre Dame, because if it had been somebody else other than Tulane, not JMU, I probably wouldn't have even had Ole Miss getting past the first round. All right, I've got Miami over, or I'm not over. I've got Miami taking on Ohio State. You have Texas A&M taking on Ohio State. I think we both have the same winner in our games, though.
Yes, Ohio State. That defense is still legit. I think their offense is good enough. They definitely do have some issues. They haven't been a great running football team, and they have a tendency in the Indiana game to just want to continue to try to run the football over and over every first down. And I don't get it, because the drives where they moved the ball, they threw it a lot on first down. They had this issue last year later in the season. And then I think Ryan Day he didn't take over play calling duties. He had a lot more say in play calling duties in the playoffs. And I don't think it's a mystery as to why their offense figured it out all of a sudden come the playoffs. I don't think that any of that particularly matters. I just think they're a much better football team than A&M, and will win this game.
I think in my Miami matchup with Ohio State, Jake, I think Ohio State would win 35-10, something along those lines. I don't think it would be particularly close.
Yeah, ironically, I think Miami could give them a better game stylistically than A&M. Well, maybe Marcel Reed running could hurt them, but I don't know. I just think Ohio State's defense is legit. I don't know if they'll get to 35. I just don't trust their offense a whole bunch. I don't really like the way it operates, and I don't think they've played a lot of good defenses that have really tested it, other than Texas and Indiana. And guess what? They scored a combined 17 points in those games. That is a concern for them in this playoffs. I don't think it'll be a concern in that first game, though.
All right, the Peach Bowl, Jake. I've got Indiana and I've got Texas Tech in my semifinal game. Actually, before we get into that, let's hear from our sponsors at Underdog, and then we will get into the next upcoming games. Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code HORNS to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code HORNS. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks. Win money. Must be 18 and up. 19 and up in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and up, and in Colorado for some games, 21 and up in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. All right, Jake, what is your I'm going to give you my favorite entry for the college football playoffs, and you give me your favorite. My favorite entry that I've already put a little bit of my own financial gain into this, Oregon 21.5. I'm actually not all that overly concerned that Oregon's going to cover that.
I really don't feel as strongly about that as you. I think Oregon has had some games against bad teams this year that have been much closer than they should be. I mean, they beat Wisconsin by 14. I think JMU would beat Wisconsin by a couple scores. So
Wisconsin played better at the end of the year.
Better than what?
They played better than what they were playing at the beginning of the year. That's what.
I'm gonna stick to the one I said on yesterday's show because I feel pretty good about this one. With or a couple days ago show is Green Bay at Denver, lower than 43.5 total points. Bo Nix to go lower than 220.5 passing yards, and Josh Jacobs to go lower than 65.5 rushing yards. I just think that's going to be a very low scoring, very low offensive production game. Could be something like a 13-10 type win for whoever wins that game.
All right, Jake, semifinals. I've got Texas Tech and Indiana in the Peach Bowl this year, Final Four, and I've got Indiana winning that game and representing themselves in the national championship. I think that this game for Indiana would not be particularly close if it plays out the way I think it will. I think that they beat Texas Tech by 2, maybe even 3 scores.
Yeah, this side of the bracket is interesting because it all to me relies on Indiana being who they've been all year and not all of a sudden Indiana in the first round or something.
Here's my thing. If it's not Indiana, I think it's going to be Alabama.
Yeah, you feel like this side of the bracket's just going to be a lot of really low scoring games.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be a good amount of close games on this
Indiana
side of the bracket.
Indiana can put up the most amount of points on that side, though.
Yes, for sure. And I mean, they moved the ball pretty well against an Ohio State offense or defense that is, the best, if not, or, at least top 2 or 3 in the nation. I am going to pick Indiana to beat Oregon in my case. They've already done it once in Eugene. They were pretty dominant in doing it. And I think they would just kind of put on a repeat performance. It'd be a very similar game, if not win by a little bit more. I think Indiana's consistency is what I'm going to lean on, and Curt Cignetti, and riding Indiana to a national title appearance that no one would have picked at the start of the season.
Yeah, we didn't even have them in our playoffs, Jake. That's the sad part. All right, I have Georgia, Ohio State. I think this is going to be a really fun game. I hope this plays out. This might be game of the tournament other than a national championship because I do like Indiana, whoever I've got winning in the Fiesta Bowl. I'm going to go oh, man, Ohio. I just keep saying that. I've said all year long Ohio State is the best football team in the country. And I don't know if it was a Big Ten game where they just weren't all that highly motivated. I would imagine they would have wanted to win that game. There's no reason for them not to be motivated to win that game. But Georgia's playing really good too. And I'm like, dang, I think Georgia's playing their best football that they've played all year long coming into this thing. So, what do I go with my season-long prediction of Ohio State's going to walk away with this thing? Or is it Georgia's got the hot hand and they're playing maybe some of the best college football in the entire country right now? For the sake of not seeing a repeat game in the national championship of the Big Ten championship game, I'm going to go Georgia. Give me Georgia over Ohio State. overtime game, might be double overtime, might be 3 or 4 overtimes where they go to the 2-point conversion thing. I think it's going to be super close, really fun. I think it'll be like 17-17 in 3 overtimes. I don't know. It's going to be low scoring. It's going to be, well, Georgia's defense isn't all that great, but I don't think that they're going to be.
They have been playing.
They've been playing much better. Yeah. And so I think it'll be a fun defensive game, but give me Georgia in a close one.
I have Georgia and not so much of a close one. I think Georgia wins this game by a couple scores.
Are you down on Ohio State, Jake?
I'm just very high on Georgia.
Okay, because I'm not that down on Ohio State after losing to Indiana.
I'm not that down on Ohio State. I think Georgia is just the last, 3 or 4 weeks of the season. They did have the close game against Georgia Tech. They had also already had the SEC. I think they were fully focused on Alabama, and it showed when they played Alabama. This just has the looks of one of those national championship Kirby Smart teams we've seen. They have a quarterback that can kind of run it. He's been very effective at throwing it this year. They have an offensive line that's very physical, running backs that are very physical and get the yardage. Their defense struggled at the start of the year, and so everyone's kind of forgetting the fact that their defense has been excellent in the last 4 or 5 weeks or so. They have been dominating. I mean, look, we saw what they did to Alabama's offense in the SEC championship game. I mean, Georgia Tech didn't do too much on offense against them when it comes to scoring points. Georgia just has that look to me of a team that might just run through the playoffs, and they'll have a close game or two probably. But I guess I'll skip to my national championship prediction.
Yeah. I mean, we both have the same national championship.
I think Georgia beats Indiana as well. I think they end up winning the national title. Georgia has that SEC championship game. I was sitting there going, okay, they just kind of exercised their demons of Alabama, and they've been rolling towards the end of the season, and now they're just going to go in the playoff, and they're going to do what a Kirby Smart team has done in the past, and now they're going to get Kirby Smart's third national championship and kind of become another new dynasty that is formed.
It's hard to imagine Indiana winning a national championship in football, especially in a 12-team playoff format. I don't ever want to say I'm betting against Cignetti ever again, because I don't think I would bet this game, because I would probably bet Georgia if I had to put money on this game. My heart, because my body is telling me yes. But my brain is telling me Georgia. My heart is telling me Indiana. I would be rooting so hard for Indiana in this game, in this scenario. I think I'm with you, though. I think Georgia would win this game. But for the sake of our podcast and us not having the same national championship game and national championship winner, I will gladly lay my reputation on the line on Indiana to win this game. So I'll go Indiana to win the national championship in this thing. And what would it be, the Jake versus Tanner national championship game. But I do think you would be rooting for Indiana as well in this
yes,
game.
I am. Okay, just I guess outside of James Madison and Tulane, I am a full-blown Hoosier during these playoffs. I absolutely want, because I don't think Tulane or James, they have 0% chance of winning the national title.
There is a world where Indiana would have to play Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and Texas A&M to win a national championship.
I don't want to live in that world. A&M would be insufferable if they just made a national championship.
I know. It would be
I'm
impossible.
not too worried about that.
I'm not either.
But yeah, Indiana, I would love for them to be the first undefeated team in the 12 playoff team era. I know it's only year 2, but still, when you felt like that really wasn't going to happen, if they did that, that'd be pretty incredible. It'd be one of the better stories in our lifetimes and maybe ever in college football. Indiana winning a national title in year 2 under Curt Cignetti.
Here's another thing too, Jake. Do we see a repeat of an Oregon second round game where it's an undefeated team going into the national, or going as the 1 seed, and they just get the doors blown off of them by a hot Alabama team, who Alabama would maybe take the embodiment of Ohio State from last year, losing losing the way that they did, not in the season finale game to Michigan, but losing to Georgia in the SEC championship game the way that they did. And then they just find something and they get through Oklahoma. They come in and they destroy Indiana and they just go on a deep run.
I mean, anything is possible. After seeing what happened last year, anything is possible. Alabama certainly has the talent to do it. But that said, I just got to go off the sample size we saw during the season. And really, I'm just kind of riding the Georgia hot hand with my prediction. But, Indiana is more than capable. That win against Ohio State solidified that they are true national championship contenders. I think they were already solidified as that when they went into Eugene, Oregon and dominated Oregon. Even more so than what the scoreboard showed. But then also beating Ohio State in the Big Ten championship really solidified things. I think this Indiana team's legit. I also think they got a good side of the bracket for their style of play. Really, the only concern for them is, like you said, if Alabama just everything clicks, they have all the talent in the world, and then they roll in and win that game. But I hope Indiana at least makes the national title game. It's just fun for the story of it at the least.
Yeah, I agree. What if it's JMU versus Indiana? A little rematch with Kurt Signetti and his old team, not in the national championship game, but in the second round. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't think it could be in the second round because it would
third round. It would be in the semifinal.
Yeah, that would be quite the run by JMU. That would be just like we would have all predicted, a JMU Indiana semifinal game.
Final four, baby. All right, Jake, let's go ahead. Those are just storylines that have just popped in my head. So don't think that'll happen, though. All right. That's Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. Please like, share, and subscribe. That's our prediction episode. Put your predictions out in the comments section. What games did you agree with us on? What games do you completely disagree with us on? Who's your national championship winner? We want to know all about it down below, and we will have continue that conversation with you in the comment section. All right, that's Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. As always, hook 'em.